All right, guys, so there has been some news floating around with potentially saying that the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X and S are on its last legs. Now, I want to talk about a couple of things. First off, I want to talk about the years ultimately and talk about why I personally think this is not a great idea to come out with a PS6 just yet and wait a couple more years and stuff and not focus on the next Xbox either. Let's talk about the years of all the Xboxes and PlayStations, and let's talk about the life expectancy of these. Now, first off, these ones that I'm talking about, such as the Slim and Pro models, don't really count as the years of legitimacy of release date years. So let's just talk about this. So first off, the OG Xbox comes out in 2001. I loved it because it was such a great boot up screen and stuff. Same with the 360. The 360, great boot up screen. Really hated the Series X and the Xbox One because it's just white writing with a green screen or a black screen with white writing and stuff. Not very good, and it just says Xbox or Xbox One. Anyway, OG 360 comes out in 05. So that's a 4-year difference there. However, for me, I did not have that one. I went to the 360 Slim in 2010 is the model that I had, which was the really sensitive model, obviously, because if your mom went by and dusted it with a dust rag, she'd turn on the console and stuff, and it'd be very sensitive. Now, 360E comes out roughly around 2013, which was not very good and ideal because the Xbox One came out at the same time where they completely focused on that. Now, both models were very good. But then came out the One S, which was more for the media in 2016 and stuff, more about streaming, Netflix, and other things. Whereas the One X in 2017 was more focused on the 4K resolution and more about the gaming aspects. Both were upgraded and stuff with upgrades. However, the thing was with them, let's add also more storage, because on the original Xbox One, you would only have 500 gigabytes of storage, which means you would have to get an external hard drive. For the One S and One X, they put in a 1 terabyte storage to make it better. Then came out the Series X and S in 2020, with obviously having 1 terabyte and 512 with the Series S. Now, obviously, the Series S is less powerful. I don't know if the same is with PlayStation. I think they're both equally the same amount of power and stuff. But the Series X was obviously more powerful, 120 hertz per second, running at higher speeds of 1440 instead of 1080p, and it was just a better model. Then comes out the Series S non-upgrade 1 terabyte model in 23, which is the black carbon model and stuff, which obviously is not that different and stuff. It's 1 terabyte of storage. The Series S is not even different with any upgrades. It's the same running storage and capabilities, so it doesn't change whatsoever. Then after the Series S no upgrade comes out, the Series S white 1 terabyte for 2024 that's coming out this December. Obviously, again, that one has no effect and stuff. It's the same running software as the other one, but the price changed by $50. So instead of $300, now you pay $350. Then came out the 1 terabyte Series X white, no disc on it and stuff in 2024, which frankly I think they should have done from the very beginning like PlayStation did, where they just had a PS5 and a PS5 digital instead of coming out with a Series S and cheaper model. Make the X 500 and make the Series X non-disc version 400 and do the same thing, or make it cheaper by $200 and you would still run the same capability. After that comes out the 2 terabyte Galaxy Series X in 2024, which honestly is stupid to add an extra 1,000 gigabytes where you can just buy an external hard drive for $100 and stuff of 4 terabytes and stuff instead of buying the 2 terabyte Galaxy Series X that has a disc and everything that's $600. There's no point towards it. And frankly, it's stupid. Now, moving on to PlayStation. The first year was 1994. Came after that was the PS2 in 2000. Then the PS2 Slim came out in 2004. And then the PS3 came out in 06. Then came a PS3 Slim in 09. So 3 years later and stuff. But After that came out the PS3 Super Slim. Again, a mistake because the PS4 came out roughly the same time in 2012 and 2013. Then came out the PS4 Slim and Pro, obviously 1 terabyte, where it had 500 gigabytes, the same as the series, the same as the Xboxes, but obviously more storage, and then obviously the 4K resolution and all of that. Then came out the PS5 in 2020, and the PS5 Slim. So PS4 Slim and PS4 Pro came out 2016. PS4 came out 2013, so 3-year difference. Then came out the PS5 Slim, 1 terabyte upgraded in 2023, nothing different. And potentially the PS5 Pro in 2024, which honestly, frankly, there's nothing a lot difference there because the Pro model and the Slim model are probably just going to have 1 terabyte, where the PS5 had 812 gigabytes and stuff, where already the Series X decided to start with 1 terabyte. So I don't think there are many upgrades. Moving right along, let's talk about the years. The life of the consoles for most of them are 7 to 8 years, cutting out the Slim and the Pro models and stuff. The other thing I want to state, though, what my biggest concern with them trying to come out with a PS6 or or the new Xbox and stuff, and not focusing on here and now, is that they're still too stuck in the past, because the same interface works reverse backwards compatibility with Xbox versus PlayStation, where you can only play PS4 games, you can't play PS3, PS2, or PS1 games, which is ridiculous. But I digress. So let me make this very fast here. The problem that I have with this whole entire sense is that if you're coming out with a PS6 roughly in 4 years and stuff, which obviously the life expectancy is actually 7 to 8 years, is not very good, because what I'm saying right now is that PlayStation and Xbox have never focused on just making games for their Series X and PlayStation 5. They kept focusing on still making Madden and all these games for Xbox One and PS4. Now, the only thing that's different is obviously you get the better features on the next-gen console or the current gen than versus old-gen and stuff, which I get and stuff, but it's ridiculous in that aspect because they never focused on the new-gen console, or they never focused on Series X and PS5. They kept focusing on the old gen as well and stuff, and didn't take a step in the direction. There are no exclusives for the new consoles and stuff. And the same thing can be said when Xbox One and PS4 was around. They were still making games for PS3 and Xbox 360. So I don't know what they're doing and stuff, but frankly, I think it's too early for a PS6. Let me know your thoughts on it. Sorry that I talk so much, but that's all I got to say about it.